Water crisis in Sikkim, climate change or mismanagement. Water is essential in every little thing we do. Tonight we ask a critical question. Is Sikkim running out of water, once known for its abundant spring and flowing natural sources? Parts of the states are now witnessing an alarming decline. South Sikkim's Nagi village was once known for its abundant spring and water reservoirs. Today, several of those natural sources have either dried up or significantly reduced. At the same time, Gantok, the capital of Sikkim, is witnessing a worrying drop in water discharge from its primary source, the Ratichu River. Is this entirely due to climate change or land use patterns and forest choice playing a role? This report examines the data. Nagi village in Namthang block was historically considered a water-rich area. During the 1990s, several perennial springs supplied drinking water years round. Over the past 2 decades, however, large portions of the surrounding hills have been covered with pine, locally known as dhuppi. Forestry research from institutions such as Indian Council of Forestry Research and Education ICFRE shows that pine-dominated forests have shallow root system compared to oak. Increased surface runoff, reduced groundwater recharge, evaporate between 20,000 and 60,000 litre per hectare per warm days, depending on canopy density. Unlike broadleaf species like oak, pine needle litters also reduce soil moisturizer retention and limits undergrowth diversity. Local residents report that traditional springs have either reduced significantly or disappeared. Efforts such as constructing reservoirs and developing Nagi Pokhari have not fully restored water availability. Hydrologists generally recommend indigenous broadleaf species, particularly oak, for better aquifer recharges and slope stability in the Himalayan ecosystem. Moving to East Sikkim. The Ratichu River is the primary drinking water source for Gantok, which is glacier-fed and perennial, which supply around 40 million gallons per day to the capital city. However, according to officials from the Public Health Engineering PhD department, water discharge from multiple sources across Sikkim has dropped by 50 to 60% in February compared to September levels. Report indicates that the Ratichu alone has seen discharge fall by nearly 60% during the winter month. An embankment has been constructed to divert and manage water supply, but declining natural discharge remain a concern. Climate indicators across Sikkim support concerns about long-term change. According to Indian Meteorological Department IMD data, winter rainfall between December and February has shown major variability. Some recent winter records rainfall defects of up to 70%. Temperature in Gantok have shown gradual upward trends over the past decades. January 2025 record unusually high daytime temperature for the winter condition. Scientific studies on the eastern Himalayan glaciers suggest shrinkage of up to 10 to 15% in certain monitorized zones over the past 2 decades. Reduced snowfall and early melting affects spring recharge system. Springs in mountain regions depend heavily on gradual snow melts and forest-regulated infiltration. When winter precipitation declines, spring discharge weakens months later. This directly impacts urban water supply system. While climate change is a macro factor, land use also influences water security. Pine forests differ significantly from the oak forest in hydrological function. Meanwhile, the oak forest has deeper root system, high soil moisturizer retention, great groundwater recharge, improved soil stability. Whereas in the other hand, the pine forest has faster surface runoff, low infiltration rates, more fire prone, reduced biodiversity. Recognizing ecological imbalance, the Forest Department has initiated plans in the areas like Kongnongsla to gradually replace invasive small bamboos and promote indigenous broadleaf species including oak. However, ecological restoration is slow. Tree replacement and aquifer recovery takes decades. Meanwhile, Gangtok's population and the water demand continue to grow. Gangtok has expanded rapidly over the last 20 years. Increased residential buildings, hotels and tourism infrastructure, road construction, surface concretization all reduce natural recharge zones. Several springs that once supplied neighborhood water directly have either dried up or become seasonal. Older residents recall that the 2 decades ago water supply was largely uninterrupted. Today, disruption is often scheduled. Namchi, despite having multiple reservoirs historically, has also faced seasonal shortage. Experts warn that if February discharge has already dropped by 50 to 60%, March and April, traditionally dry months, could see further strain. Data recorded between January 1st and February 15 shows alarming figures across the states. Mangan reported minus 95% departure from normal rainfall, while Soaring registered 98% shortfall. Pakyong recorded minus 75, comparatively lower than other but still categorized as deficient. Gantok Namchi Gauging District reported minus 100% rainfall, departure placing them under no rain category as per IMD classification norms. Most other districts fall within larger deficient range, minus 99% to minus 60%. If this trend continues, reduced winter rainfall, continued glacier shrinkage, expansion of pine-dominated landscape, urban expansion without recharge planning, Sikkim could face increased seasonal water shortage. Alternative water sources such as Busukula may be explored in the future, but long-term sustainability depends on watershed protection and ecological restoration. This evidence suggests that Sikkim's water challenge is not just caused by a single factor. It is the combined impact of climate variability and warming, glacier retreat, reduced winter rainfall, forest composition change, and urban expansion. Addressing the crisis required protection of large recharge zones, promotion of indigenous broadleaf species like oak, scientific watershed management, responsible urban planning. This question is not whether Sikkim has water. The question is whether Sikkim can protect the system that generates it. This is long-term ecological decision, ones that will define water security for the future generation.